Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday, July 3rd. And we're pulling PEX today. So over the weekend, you can see up here, over the weekend, I was kind of pulling some, trying to figure out where I want to run my lines and stuff like that. So hot water line is basically done now. The only thing I have to do is run a line connecting the hot water heater. So which I don't have yet, but I have the location for where that's going to go already established up there in that mechanical space. So the line is already running up there, and I can couple a line onto it, put an elbow in, something just to get it over to the hot water heater. It's no problem. But as you can see here, so this elbow right there, that goes up to the vanity for the bathroom, the only sink we're going to have in the cabin. And then, let's see if I can get it in here. This connection right here, this is a T. So this direction, and it comes down behind you guys here. That goes to the shower. And then the hot water supply, this goes straight up through the wall, and then up to the hot water heater. So that's basically the gist of the hot water line. It's really not that complicated. So today we're going to pull the cold line. Slightly more complicated. There's going to be a couple more fittings and stuff like that involved. But so it'll be water inlet, and then branching off to the toilet fill, cold water supply to the shower, cold water supply to the sink area there. And that'll be it. So hopefully, I think I have all the holes I need drilled in through the floor and things like that, but let's go inside and I'll show you kind of what I'm dealing with. All right, you'll have to excuse the lighting. Most of the other lighting is already in cabin 3. Rebecca has been up there staining inside, so this is kind of spotlight what we're looking at. So this is the vanity setup here. So this line coming up here is the hot water, hot on the left, cold on the right. So nice little contraption here as far as getting it mounted onto the framing and everything. So these inlet, the hot water and cold water, they're going to be 22 inches above the finished floor. And then the drain, which I haven't finished yet, right in there, it's going to be 20 inches above the floor. So cold water in there, excuse my shadow. This is that hot water line that came off that T down below there. So it comes up through the wall and then up into the mechanical area there where I will mount the hot water heater. And then through the wall over there, that is the hot water coming up. Again, hot on the left, cold on the right. So hot water there for the mixing valve, which is for the shower. Now I don't have any pipe talons yet. Those are on order and they're coming in, so I will be securing that PEX to the stud that's there, the wall stud. So yeah, I think I have, let's see, take a look down here. Like I was saying, I think I have all the holes drilled that I need. So this is my water inlet for the toilet. This is going to be cold water. That's why there's no hose in it yet. And that's going to come up to this nice little bracket here, pre-made for this specific purpose and stuff. So it's great. Again, so this is 6 inches off of center, and then 8 inches high, which will be 7 inches off the finished floor. And then over here in this area, I'm still working on the finalizing it, but this area here is going to be a 2-inch hole. It's going to go straight up. That's going to be the venting for the toilet. Okay, so toilet's going to vent there. It's going to vent straight up. And then for the shower is going to vent out of one of these sides here, one of these cavities, and go straight up. And they will, obviously the venting as it comes up, they will meet up, and I'll have one tube going out the side and then up above the roof line. So that's kind of how my venting is going to work, but I haven't quite got into the plumbing yet. We also got in shower pans the other day, so I'm going to be cutting another hole in the floor, putting down some mortar and securing this in place. They fit fantastic. So everything kind of worked out well for that. So let's get going, guys. We gotta pull some pecs and make this happen. I definitely gonna have this done here, the cold water, this morning. So let's get it. All right, guys, ready to start pulling some of this cold water line. So generally what I do, I feed out, I kind of find out where the union is going to be, and I feed out my longest lines from that point, so they're all kind of in the same area, so connecting them is relatively easy. So I use the same thing I used in the bus. I realize you hear me saying that a couple times and you guys didn't follow along for the bus, or I should say I didn't film most of the construction for the bus, but I use PEX A, and that's the expansion PEX. So it's super easy, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who's looking to do any sort of plumbing work, run new lines or anything like that. So this is PEX A. There is a difference between what you see up here and what you see here, in that the line that you already see in the ceiling here, I should say in the floor, has red lettering, and this has blue lettering. So it's an easy way to designate hot and cold water lines and stuff like that. So there is no, they also make solid blue or solid red and things like that, but this is just what I have, and it works great. So first thing I'm going to do is run a line up to the hot water heater. That's going to be the first line I'm gonna make, and it's going to go straight up. Let's make it happen. Okay, this line that's over here, the one that's kind of slumped over, that's the cold water line we just pushed up through the floor. So let's grab this and so I've got just a little bit of stub out right there. You see the hot line on the right, and then that's the cold line there on the left. I think that's a good distance right there, so I can, attach any connection to that I need to run it to the hot water heater. Again, because it's close to the stud, I will eventually connect this. And like I said, there's nothing in here that's gonna damage it, or it's not going to hit anything. I do have metal plates also that are coming in, so I will have protection plates on both sides of these on that blocking, and just about everywhere I need them. I'll have to have them down there as well, over here, down here as well, because I'm going to put in on this cross member right here, I've got to nail in the vertical boards that are going to cover this area. So all that'll have to be covered with those metal plates, and that includes up here as well, just to protect the pipe. All right, let's get down below and make a cut. Okay, so you saw up at the top there where it's actually going to go in and connect to the hot water heater. There was about 5 or 6 inches of stub out that was there, so I do have some leeway down here on the bottom. And now I'm no pro, so my exact lengths and everything, if I have to cut off an inch or two to make something fit better, I'll do that. I'm not trying to be super particular here on these cuts. I'm really just trying to get it kind of roughed in, and then I'll come in and do some finishing cuts and actually make the connection. So that's kind of how I do things. So I'm going to leave this probably down about 4 inches here below the floor. And once it comes time to start making connections, like I just said, we'll adjust from there. Now, the only thing I'm concerned with here as far as connecting them and things like that is that I just want to be sure that I am below, or I should say above, the bottom of the floor joists here, because this is all going to be insulated and then sealed off. There's going to be house wrap and then some like 3/8 plywood that's going to cover this whole area up down here. So I just want to make sure everything is up in there. So that looks good. Let's run. Now we have a longer run going to the shower across on the other side. So let's run that line. All right, let's go upstairs and see if we have enough for the shower. Well, hot water there on the left already pulled in. I showed you earlier, and then this is that cold line that we just put up here. So let's see if we have enough. Yeah, that's plenty there. I'm actually going to push this back down the hole a little bit, make it a little more even with the hot. There we go. So now, actually the connection I have for the mixer has PEX A connectors already attached to the mixing valve. So I'll have a 90-degree elbow here and then a 90 here, and that will lead directly into the mixer. So yeah, cold water here, looking good. Let's go down and make a cut. Okay, so this is how we're looking right now. This is cold water over to the shower. I just showed you that upstairs. That's going to come out. We're going to cut this. My hole through the joist is here, so I've got to bring it back and over. And then there's my stub out that went up to the hot water heater. So that will be water flowing up into that. So let's pull this through here, and then well, we're gonna have to make a cut. Again, not a professional, so I've got to kind of loop this out a little bit. This is going to be somewhat of a tighter elbow here. I've actually got some supports I might put in there to help that out, and then it's got to go through this joist and terminate on this other side with some sort of fitting. Okay, the only thing I don't like about this here is this hot line and this cold line are actually touching. I don't like that. Let me think about this. I might reroute this hot line over to this hole so that everything can be separated. All right, guys, just a quick reroute of the lines. I just switched the hot and cold feeds that go across the cabin. So now there's separation here. These are no longer touching. And yeah, everything is still looking pretty good. I've got plenty of stub out here to kind of make any connections I need to make anywhere up through here. So now I've got to go have cold water supply up to the toilet. That's a fairly short run. In fact, I'm probably going to put a T in right here and feed that line. As you can see, I can just come back here a little bit, make a cut, insert a T, and then that'll still complete that circuit. All right, let's get some tools and some compression rings and we'll get it done. All right, guys, well, just as we're starting to get going here, the rain is starting to come down, so luckily we're dry underneath the cabin right now. So these are the compression rings that utilize this PEX A system. Like I said, super handy. And then you got your expansion tool here with it. Okay, now that T is in, we got to feed some line up to the toilet supply line. Now, because I don't want to have to deal with all of this spool and everything, this is a 100-foot spool that I have here. Again, I'm just gonna, well, let's see. I was just gonna cut some off, kind of see how it goes. It's actually hitting that bracket inside. I can't push it up as far as I need, so I got to go inside and pull it. Let's do it. All right, so it's got a nice 90 in here. I've got 4 inches or so of stub out. That's more than enough. I will have a crimp-on fitting out here that will supply water to the toilet. So now we just got to make that connection down below. Okay, now that this line here, this line's going up to what we were just working on there, the toilet supply, because there's really no slack up there because of it, it's already connected to the elbow that brings it out, the stub out there. So this one here, I can just kind of eyeball where it's going to connect to the actual T connector and then cut it fairly close to where it needs to be. So this is a pretty accurate little cut. And see, this is another advantage of this PEX A situation here, where if I was using PEX B or using the clamps to connect these, it'd be very difficult to get the clamp, or I should say to get the pliers on squarely onto those clamps so that you make sure it doesn't leak. Where this here, again, relatively easy. And I hold that there for a couple seconds, let the compression ring shrink back down. I make sure it's against all of these supports. And that does it. I have never had one of these connections leak. So, like I said, I can't say enough good things about it. So, all right, toilet supply line is in. Coming back now, back to more of like the main in for the water. So I still have to get a line over to the vanity and then eventually have this stub out to where it's going to connect to water coming into the cabin itself. So let's run some pipe up for the vanity. So this here, there's a little extra tubing here for the hot water supply. I would like it kind of mid space there, somewhere up there like that. Down here, kind of too close to the outside. I just wouldn't get the insulation value of it. But that's okay. We'll take another look at that at some point. Okay, let's run a line up to the vanity. Again, this has a elbow bracket structure up there, so let's go connect. All right, took a little work. Glad I'm not in a hurry. All right, so let's see if I can show that to you kind of close up here, what actually was happening. I'll show you here on the hot one. Same connection now. So this white inner piece right there had to come through a smaller portion of this purple nut. If that doesn't happen, those threads that are within that purple nut will never engage the threads that are on this elbow that's behind it. So, yeah, the shadow kind of messes that up. So, but yeah, once it's in there, I mean, it's great. That's a great little bracket. I've got to tighten it up so there's no movement. Show you this one here. There's a little kind of a wing nut in the back here. So that's on there good. So super cool little bracket. I don't know. I mean, I hope to never see this bracket again once it's behind the wall, but it works out pretty well. A little bit of effort. Nobody's ever drowned in sweat. All right, moving on. Okay, so I've got the hot water line here going to the vanity, and I've got the cold water going to the vanity. So we need to make a cut, and then we need to really connect all this here. This is cold water to the hot water heater. This was cold water to the shower, and then cold water to the vanity. So it needs to come over here, get connected, and then there'll be the primary water pipe coming in that will connect, that will supply water to the whole cabin. So we'll put a 90-degree elbow here, bring the water over. I'm probably going to have to go upstairs and pull some more hot tube up so that this is less, I mean, this really wants to come down. So I'd like to get it up here. Still maintaining some separation here, but I would definitely like that to be a little higher, more comfortably higher. Some 90s. So from this point here, I will 90 off, I will come off this here to a 90 that will be fed from the supply of water. All right, guys, finished product. You have water that's going to come up from the ground up into here. It will elbow off into this T. This goes up into hot water heater. Hot water comes back down through here. That tees off. That goes to the shower. That way goes to the sink. Any water that bypasses here going to the hot water heater will come along, and this goes cold water to the shower, and then cold water to the vanity. So if you see anything I screwed up or you don't like along the way, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear it. So cabin 3 will be done probably just about the same thing. Now I'm going to have 2-inch, maybe dropping to 1 inch further down the line of PVC that's going to come down to the base outside the cabins, and then it'll feed up into the insert via PEX. I'll have some water shutoff valves and some other things, especially down here at cabin 1. This is the last cabin to get water, so there'll be a drain valve down here as well in the ground that will be able to drain the cistern at the end of the season. So that's what we're looking at. Only thing I don't like here is the proximity of this hot water line to the rest of this cold water here. I thought about maybe putting a T, or putting an elbow here and bringing it along here and then over to there. That would alleviate that, but we'll see. I'm still thinking about it. All right, guys, well, I was up here one time there to help reposition that hot water. I did pull a little more through, so I've got quite a bit of stub out here, about 8 inches or so. So that's going to be, waste in there. And of course I got a stub out there for the cold water. So really though, when I picked up the scraps outside, this is all I had as far as scraps go. And, that's not, I'm fine with that. That's okay in my book. So besides the stuff with the stub outs, both here with the toilet stub out as well, and then of course the final adjustments here for the water mixture. This, because I rerouted the hoses or the tubes, the hot water was actually longer, so that's why there's so much hanging out here. So that'll be my worst part of it, but a big chunk like that, maybe a foot, maybe a little over a foot, I'll be able to use that in another spot, whereas these here, most likely not. These will probably end up in the trash, but overall not bad. My book. Okay, so moving on now, I've got the lines that come up that go to the mixing valve. I now need a line that's going to go out of the mixing valve up to the shower head. That's going to be located in this area here. So this should be, I believe it's 78 inches from the ground is probably the proper height for that. So I got to figure out how I'm going to rig it in there. I do have some of those neat little brackets left, but because of this cross member here, let me find out where it's actually going to be centered, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, did some measuring. And it looks like one of my neat little brackets here will answer the bill. So a little bit of a 45 here. I'd like to get that extra ½ inch. And I'm going to mount this with these ears here flush with the side. So it'll sit in there just about like that. And then my drop ear elbow will attach directly to that bracket. And then I have inch-long sheet metal screws, stainless steel, that are going to go through here, and they're probably going to connect with the wall as well. So let's get this mounted. Let me throw a level on there to make sure it's level. Well, that went on there pretty smoothly. It's got a lot of these holes and stuff in it here. It makes lining these, really any bracket up to it, really pretty easy. So the middle of this right now is at 77 inches. So that should be fine. We're going to lose an inch or so once we put the shower pan in. So everything I read between 72 and 78 inches for this dimension here. But bracket worked out great. My screws do actually touch the wall a little bit. They actually make contact with it, so that's helped stabilizing it there. So we'll get a piece of tubing right now, little PEX, and we'll run it down here to where the mixing valve is going to be. And then we're going to call the plumbing in cabin 1 just about done. You know, a lot of the final connections we're not going to make for some time, but it's good to have this kind of roughed in like this. All right, guys, well, that's going to wrap things up for us here today. I think I'm about to head up the hill, get some lunch, and then I'm heading over to cabin 3 to get that roughed in to this point as well. So I'm expecting a call here probably today or tomorrow. Well, holiday tomorrow. We'll see. This week I should be heading out. I should get another pocket door. I've got ceiling access panels that are coming in. That are going to need to be installed on both 1 and 3. I've got bathroom vent fans already here, so I could start working on something like that. But right now I want to finish up here with the plumbing aspect of it, and really not that difficult. I should be able to get cabin 3 up to this point here today. So we'll work on that. We'll leave you guys on the sidelines. Just kind of imagine me kind of doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up, guys. Hey, I appreciate you hanging out. Be sure if you're new, you like what you see, I got a lot going on here with these cabins. I can always use some advice, pointing out some things I might have done wrong or other ways to consider things. Please subscribe, leave a comment below. Let me know what I'm doing wrong or right. I try and keep things as simple as possible. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. So we'll see. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one.